Hi, everyone, and welcome to the 9th edition of the Inside Scoop newsletter at my Relationship Vision website. I want my Relationship Vision to be your go-to resource for relationship training and a place where you can learn how to empower the transformation of your relationships by developing the relationship with yourself, elevating your consciousness, increasing your connectability, and igniting your creativity. The title today of today's news edition is Long-Term Relationships Require Accommodation. Get used to it. So I want to tell you about this recent epiphany that I had, revelation about relationships, about long-term relationships, and how I got here. I'm going to tell you how I got here and what I learned and realized. So not too long ago, maybe a few weeks ago, I was taking stock. I was taking stock in my primary significant relationships and just kind of checking and looking at where they're at. And I became very dismayed and upset and kind of concerned by the dilapidated state so many of my key go-to primary long ironclad relationships were faltering, where I was feeling more disconnected than connected. It was just really, the relationships weren't working and I wasn't getting much out of them, and I was getting very, very frustrated in it, and I didn't know what to do with them. And so I was kind of really distressed and wondering what happened. How did it get like this? How did all of a sudden we're so disconnected we can't even have a conversation about anything? What happened? And what do I do about it? What am I going to do with this? So, I had these questions coming up and it took a long time for me to find out the answers, but I did come up with some things. And what I came up with was that over the life of a long-term relationship, just by the amount of time that you're going to be spending together, pile up time and time that you're going to be spending together, at some point, there are going to be rough patches. There are going to be impasses. There are going to be periods when I'm feeling and you're feeling that you're much more disconnected than you are connected. And you wonder, how the hell did that happen? And what are you going to do about it? And where do you go from here? And how do you deal with the relationship? And do we need to break up? And so I was at a loss while this is happening, that I was in the middle of these periods in this relationship, these relationships, and what was I going to do? Because I was so distressed and I was so stuck and I was so resentful and frustrated and couldn't really make any headway or make any changes or make any ability to connect or communicate better with my partner. So what am I going to do in these situations as they arise? So what I realized that I have these abilities in myself that I have to call upon, and specifically a mindful practice of turning my dial. And what turning my dial means is that when I'm finding myself in situations like this, where we're really at loggerheads in the relationship and not going anywhere, I practice shifting my attention and energy away from the other person and onto myself. So I'm shrinking that relationship that I have, where I'm so caught up in and involved in and invested in, and that I'm so stuck in, shift the attention away from that back onto myself and my relationship with myself and what I'm doing and what's going on with me. And I found that this really, really helped to bring me down, bring my level of reactivity and agitation down, and also shift my focus and energy to things that I'm involved in that feel good, that are nourishing me, and where I could buy some time and get myself back together, and then return to the relationship later with a cleaner slate, calm down, and see if there's, and go from there, see if we can connect from there. So it's this requirement, this long-term relationships require accommodation over time, just by virtue of being together, the amount of time that you're together. You're going to hit these rough patches. And what to do when you are in those patches is to practice turning your dial and shifting your attention away from the other person back onto yourself. Hope this makes sense. And if you have any questions or comments, please list them and ask any questions you want. So on that note, I'll see you next week. And yes, rely on the connections you make and the intimacy you create for sustenance. All right, take care. See you next week.